All right, so it is January 11th, 2021. I figured I'd date stamp the video. And thanks for being here, by the way. I know I whine about subscribers and so forth, and I'm going to try not to do that anymore. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you can help me on Patreon, great. It's fine if you can't. We're in a world where free speech is really under attack. Now, okay, there are a bunch of people here that don't like me because I ended up voting for Trump, or I like Trump and so forth. I like him as far as I like freedom. And that's kind of where I'm at. And it doesn't mean I agree with every policy. It doesn't, none of that. What I'm trying to see clear towards is this idea that America can have a conversation about difficult issues. And right now it appears that we can't talk. We just can't talk. Parler is no longer working today. Parler is not working. It is not on. Now, they had sponsors, and apparently all the sponsors bailed on them, from what I understand, and Parler shut down. They're not on. They may come back. I don't know. That's creepy. All right. That's creepy number one. Creepy number two, if you like Gab as another alternative platform, Gab has gotten so many new people that their server cannot handle it. And you try to go on to Gab and it'll spin and spin. And I've done it on all kinds of different devices. It doesn't matter which device I use. You can't get onto Gab. So you can't get on Gab. Parler is down. Just for folks that might not know, there's a platform called MeWe. It's a lot like Facebook. That seems to be working. Okay, until everybody realizes, okay, I can't. Here's the thing about Twitter. All right, I'm on Twitter. I have an account. I'm already arguing with people again, which is just not what I want to do. But and what I did was I muted and I just got away from that. I didn't block. I just said, you know what? No, I'm not going to just argue, because I know what I know. And guess what? I believe what I believe about stuff. And if you're coming at me with a lack of facts and intellectual curiosity, because that's what this entire election, by the way, was about, a lack of intellectual curiosity. In other words, you don't care about what other people have seen in certain places when it comes to the F word. All right? I'm talking FRAUD. I might get blocked for spelling it. I don't know. You can't even talk. See, and this is what I mean. Even if you think all of this is baseless, like I've heard baseless, these are crazy, wild, crazy allegations. Why wouldn't you try to disprove those things? Or why would you not allow a full forensic audit? Nobody can answer that question. And by the way, nobody wants to answer that question. Everybody's just, let's move on, nothing to see. So we're getting to the point now where you cannot talk about a lot of things. I did a video on this channel. I'm shocked that it's still up, about a medication that could help folks who have COVID-19. And it's still up there. But most of the time when you talk about things like that, see, I have a theory though. The COVID stuff is going to start to retreat a little bit, because I think it was all of this stuff last year was one big designed thing. And by the way, you don't have to be on the left or the right to understand that. You just have to be coherent to see one thing after another. And by the way, if you're more progressive left and you don't care about what they did to Bernie Sanders, and you don't care about Tulsi Gabbard's AdSense account, because those things were just, and the fact that the Iowa primary, I think, was rigged to a point where, gee, we don't have a winner tonight. Gee, isn't that similar to what happened in the Let's come back tomorrow and we'll keep counting votes until Mayor Pete is the winner. Do you not see that whoever is pulling the strings, okay, and we can try to name names and come up with all our great conspiracies and so forth, but it is a clear pattern that dates back to 2016 in the primary where Bernie should have ran away with the 2016 Democratic nomination. Now, Bernie is not a fighter. Bernie is the weakest revolutionary who's ever been, as I heard, I think it was Tucker Carlson say that. And I agree with that. It's just sad because he had a lot of populist support. He had people that believe in Medicare for all, for instance. And I am listening to all options when it comes to real issues. I don't throw issues out the window. I do think that this notion of, the Affordable Care Act is just a big boon for insurance companies. Duh. I worked in a call center. I think I told the story on here. And you want to talk to me and send me a message, I can tell you things that happened there that would make your head spin. And I was there, and nobody could take that information from me because it's mine. It's a live testimonial, in person. So my big concern, and I think everybody, regardless of where they are on the political spectrum, and I say that in all deference as I kind of move, I'm not going to lie, I'm more to the right than I was a year or two ago. I could have voted independent, and would I have been a hero? I don't know. Would I sleep better? I don't know. Not based on what's happening necessarily. Because again, the sitting president can no longer use any social media. And I know there are a lot of people cheering who just hate the guy. Yay, good riddance. It's not the whole thing about insurrection, that word's been floating around in a couple different circles, mind you. Some people are talking about the Insurrection Act, and I'll just leave it there. Other people have continued to say that thing that happened at the Capitol was an insurrection. Well, if it's an insurrection, you got a bunch of people standing around in someone's office taking selfies and taking pictures. That doesn't look like an insurrection to me. There were people who were shot at, though. And there was a Marine who lost her life. And I know there was a Capitol police officer who I think lost their life. Now, I've heard a lot about the Capitol police officer, but I haven't heard a whole lot about the Marine. I've actually seen footage of what happened to the Marine. And I'll just be honest, it was like nothing you'll ever see. And it was heartbreaking. And I want to use the E word and what I think it was, but I'm not going to say the E word because I think that will get me in trouble. EX, you know what I'm saying? Just you watch the video and it looks just like a mindless, there was no weapon brandished. I think she was like up kind of high in the window looking in or something. I don't know what compelled her to do that, but I don't believe, I think like Waco, what happened in Waco years ago was that Branch Davidian thing, and they just bulldozed it. They bulldozed it. There were kids in there and they bulldozed it. This is, folks, it seems that we're headed to a place that is uncharted territory. This is, I don't want to say, Tulsi Gabbard was on with Dave Rubin, and she was warning people about civil WAR, and people were like, it's just hyperbole. Just, come on, Tulsi, come on. And other people were headed toward a civil WAR. And people are just like, yeah, that's just, if we're not in a hot war, we are in a cold war, for sure. For sure. And the tech companies this platform is on a tech company, and I thank them for hosting my little channel here. I thank you for doing that. But if we can't converse about difficult subjects. If I have to come on here and make videos about, fluffy bunnies and unicorns, or a pool filled with water balloons exploding, because look, I get the kid content makes everybody a lot of money. The crazy kid content, the Ryan Toy review, whatever it was called. I think it's changed. I understand those things are very important to, because then you can market toys. I mean, look, I get it. By the way, that's kind of like capitalism, although it's kind of crony capitalism, because it's, the company's picking winners and losers, cutting edge content regarding politics. Not that this show is like that, but others who put that out there, and people are like, okay, I can watch this on my TV because I have an app for that. And then, you're going to have a social credit score, and they're going to say, no, you can't have the app for that. Or what? I mean, there's so many things that seem to be on the horizon. That's why a lot of arguments right now about what we should be talking about they're kind of falling on deaf ears. People are seeing their democracy going away. Some people believe fervently, I believe fairly fervently, that this was not, let me put it this way, this was not a clean election. And the fact that you can't do a forensic audit, and I would do an audit, again, of every ballot that was cast, every single ballot. And now I'm hearing that there are no paper trails in some cases. There's only electronic data, and that electronic data is likely being deleted or scrubbed. So you would want that data in order to do the audit. And if you can't do the audit, then I guess, the corpse gets sworn in. And that looks like that's what's going to happen. Now, and you're thinking 9 days away, Dave. What else could happen? Oh, the internet is filled with very interesting rumors. I'd love to posit those rumors here, but you can do your own research about what might be happening. All I can tell you is that just because you're a private company doesn't mean that you can prevent me from communicating. All right. And if that's the case, then Americans are a pretty resilient bunch. And what we need to do is work around. Okay. There've got to be some people who know how to redesign the World Wide Web or an alternate web. Call it the truth web. That's what I would call it. Hey, you want to go on the truth web where you get to talk the truth? You get to at least, or the free speech web. Look, a lot of people put out information that they do a lot of speculating. And I understand that speculation isn't news. What I observed out there, that's news. But what I think about what I observed, that's opinion and in some cases speculation. I get that. But free speech, I hate to break it to those folks that don't want to hear it. Free speech, as the founders intended, was for the most egregious kinds of speech. Because they knew once you started speaking truth to power, that the powerful would say, oh, wait a minute, you can't say that. That's offensive, or that's hate speech. See where that goes? And very, very vague and fuzzy things like, you just broke our community guidelines. What are those guidelines? Let's take a look at it, And you read them over and you go, I didn't break any community guidelines. See, they have language. They have things like sensitive issues. You're talking about a sensitive issue. Okay, well, I just had a root canal. That's a sensitive issue. Can I talk about my root canal? I bet you it won't get banned or throttled, right? Talking root canal, that's a really sensitive issue. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be funny here for comic relief. I'm saying define sensitive. Well, you can't talk about, firearms. Okay, well, what if I purchased a brand new firearm and I'm showing the audience my new Glock? I love my Glock and I'm showing it to the audience, and no bullets in it. I can show the chamber. The chamber is empty. There are no bullets chambered, but Is that a sensitive issue? See, this is where they get to kind of decide what is and what isn't. And by the way, that's a moving target. You hear a lot of times the goalposts are getting moved again. That's what people say because it's true. Well, I thought I met your guidelines. I scrubbed my video of any egregious content. I, censored myself, which I do all, as you can see here, I'm doing it right now. And I still, for some reason, don't meet the requirements. And they have AI that does this stuff now. You post your video, you leave it there for a while. What I do with videos now is I have to leave them before I can submit them, put them in like suspended animation. So the little fact checker thing or sensitivity meter bot goes through there. And then, it figures out, oh, look, your video is okay. We're going to green light that little money symbol and have at it. That doesn't feel like America to me anymore. That's not progressive. That's not growing. That's not moving forward. I mean, we need to be able, the problem today is most human beings can't handle the truth. They just can't, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear theories of what might or might not have happened. And I think these people are afraid. And I'm talking about the people who run these sites. I think they're afraid to some degree that people will find out about them and what they're all about, just based on how they behave. And maybe somebody does some undercover investigative reporting, maybe like a Veritas kind of thing. Maybe you do, because people always hate that because it's so right-wing, supposedly. Okay, well, I'm sure there are some progressives out there that could get into the business. Maybe Glenn Greenwald could do it. Maybe Jimmy Dore could do it. Somebody could do investigative journalism and dig through all the craziness over on that side. And then you have a two-pronged attack. So you have a more skeptical conservative wing and a skeptical, more progressive wing working together. Folks, it's the lower class, the little people, the peasant class against the ruling class. Get through your head that although labels are somewhat helpful, like if I'm anti-gun versus somebody who is pro-Second Amendment, those labels do mean things. However, at the end of the day, we've got to figure out how we, the voter, we, the little people, we, the people who should have control of our government, how do we get that back under control? And again, this is just a common, easy to understand analogy. We are not being ruled by Donald Trump. We won't be ruled by Joseph R. Biden, okay? What we are being ruled by are multinational corporations who can control our speech, who control the supply chain. Look at what's been happening out there. Who control what we can do as far as commerce and what time of the day we can be out in certain states, what time we have to get back inside. They mandate what you need to wear on your face, which no laws were passed, but that's how things are going. It's by decree, it's by fiat. And you have to get your brain around that. The fact that this government is no longer controlled by us. It's, again, and this is basic stuff. It's an oligarchy. And people on the left and the right have been saying this for a long time. And the fact that there's agreement on the left and the right shows you that there's a big problem. And the big tech companies are, and just to say big tech isn't enough. I mean, this is, people say if they show, I know people that went to that rally in DC, they got back home and they were fired from their job. True story. Now, do they have any legal recourse? I don't know. Let me give you an example. You know that little vaccine, that little jab that everybody's getting? What if something goes wrong with that? What if you collapse and you're unconscious and you don't wake up? Do you have any recourse? Does your family have any recourse? Nope. No liability whatsoever. None. Isn't that freaky? Doesn't that scare anybody? Oh, line me up. I see lines here where I live in Florida. The news media, they're making this out to be everybody's going to get it. But then I hear in the hospitals only 50% of doctors and nurses want it. Okay, so the truth is very far away from the misleading and constant propaganda. I can only do the weather report. That's all I can do right now on news. If they have a sports report or an entertainment report, I might be able to handle those. But I can't do anything. Even car crashes these days are made into things that they're not. One of the passengers had COVID-19. Is that what caused the car wreck? I mean, this stuff is getting so far-fetched and so weird. And, again, I don't want to keep giving George Orwell credit because you can mention him and everything you say and do these days, and people will nod their head. Some people don't know what 1984 is. You might want to suggest, hey, if you got time, this is this book you might want to pick up, or you can go see the movie. The movie's not as good. Somebody really should redo it, but I'm sure Hollywood is not wanting to redo that in a way that implicates them, because any sort of extra visibility of that, even though it would probably make millions at the box office, certainly won't be greeted by those in Hollywood with glee and happiness. It would be something that people would just say, no, we don't need to do a redo of that. That would be bad. I know they did a couple movies, Atlas Shrugged movies, a few years back, and I don't think anybody saw them, and they were okay. They were pretty, it's tough to do like a 1,300 page book and condense it into a movie, whatever. It's a huge book. And the ending isn't good for what Hollywood believes in. And here's what we need to do as Americans. This is me being problem solver. If you're a techie guy and you've got money, and I'm sure you're not watching my video, but I'm just throwing this out as just like a thinking piece here, that if you care about the country and you've got money and you've got tech skills, or you have a network of tech people, build it and they will come. Build alternative media platforms and they will come. Again, I try to get on Gab, can't do it. Parler is gone. Okay, you think it's crazy that Trump can't get on Twitter? That's crazy, but I can't get on. I can't even do anything on alternative platforms. Sure, I can go back on Twitter and celebrate that and promote that and help that guy make money. Jack Dorsey, I want. And so Facebook, see, I deleted Facebook, and then I said, okay, I've got contacts and I'll use the Messenger, and that's what I do with Facebook. But I don't post anything on Facebook. I don't go on it. I would probably, if I posted stuff on Facebook, it would be, hey, look at this pizza I just made. I took a picture of it and I'm posting it. Doesn't it look really great? Because that's the kind of stuff these companies want. They want a dumbed down population that doesn't care about anything important. In the meantime, people can, put together a 5,500 page omnibus, whatever it's called, defense authorization bill. And guess what? Nobody's read it. And nobody on Facebook will care because, hey, I've got my pizza. I've got, look at my kids. Aren't they cute? They're great. And now you've given all of your data and you've shared your kids and your address, and all of that data is out there. So people can data mine and creepy people can come find you. This is where we're at. Is it as bad as I'm saying? Yes, actually it's worse. And there are smarter people, more articulate people out there who can deliver this message with more clarity than me. I'm just giving you off the cuff Dave here. That's it. So I think January 11th, 2021 is a scary day. We haven't, by the way, the calendar switching from 2020 to 2021, things are not better, and they're not going to get better. I can almost guarantee you that. It's going to take a miracle to get this back to a place where we can all see some semblance of normalcy, when we could just argue left versus right issues and try to do it where, you try to convince one side that an idea is a good idea. You have a civil interaction. Nope, that ain't happening. And by the way, we can't do any of that until we fix the big problems. Censorship, voting. I mean, those two things go hand in hand right now. And if those aren't fixed, then this isn't a country anymore. We're all working for large multinational corporations. That's what we're doing. Or even if we're not working, we are depending on them either to deliver something, or we're hoping the government will print more money so we can get something. Now, keep in mind, the government kind of owes some people because they destroyed their lives. So I'm right there with you. But if that's going to be a long-term sort of addicting strategy, then we're done. We're done. We're all going to be dependent on these people, and we're all going to bow to all of their wishes. And I'll tell you, authoritarianism, it starts off small, and you'll think, okay, I'll just curb my language. I'll just shop at this place. I'll just, I'll do what they want me to do in order to survive. And that is a noble thing to do, because people will say you need to do that to survive, to make money for your family or whatnot. But this is a scary road. Once you start down that road, they're just going to ratchet up the level of authority. And this is how you go from like soft tyranny to dictatorship to what's next. This is why even when people say, well, democratic socialism might work, really? Good luck keeping it democratic. Good luck keeping it where it's not authoritarianism. Because when you promise an exchange of something for something else, I guarantee you there are going to be conditions that are put on that. All right. If there are no conditions, then it's going to be unusual, because you might have to think a certain way. Your behavior might have to change and be different. You can't say anything negative about the state. Okay. And then again, we go up the ladder from social. See, to me, it goes socialism. If you had a democratic form of socialism, it might work. If it was a hybrid, if it was capitalism, socialism, and it was and that's kind of what we have now. People can argue that, it's like Social Security, Medicare, the military is a form of socialism, on and on and on. You can go down that list because that's what we have, and nobody's willing to eliminate all that stuff. But then when you get into the authority area of, you can't leave your house between this hour and this hour. Ooh, that's different. That doesn't feel right. That's not what America is about. And then you really do go to a form of communism. And most people in America don't want that. There are a few that do. They want the government to control everything for whatever reason. They're fearful that the population isn't going to survive, that we need to take drastic measures, rather than trust in the fact that we're getting better, maybe with technology, and we can solve some of the world's problems, but we got to get out of our own way in order to do that. And right now, it's as if this whole thing was by design to keep us angry and to keep us focused on things that are very serious right now. That's the thing. These are very serious matters. But is there yet another thing going on behind the scenes? I hate to be Mr. Tinfoil Hat guy, but I don't trust anything right now. I don't trust anything. If somebody comes up with a theory on the web, was that theory put there to give people false hope? Was it put there to give people false hope so they wouldn't get off their butt and do something real? because that's what the, I did the Q video and a lot of people didn't like that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's because I studied Calvinism, and I know it's like, it's okay, relax. You're one of the chosen. Trust the plan. Get on the conveyor belt. That's all I got to do, really? Yeah, you're one of the chosen. Great. Sounds awesome. Can't wait to see what my rewards will be, for just sitting on the conveyor belt and doing nothing. We can't do that. I'm never going to do that. That's why I keep talking here. Thanks for watching this channel. Thanks for being here. I actually picked up subscribers, by the way, even though I said I'm trying not to whine about it anymore. So if you can remember, subscribe to the channel. On the political spectrum, one day I can be very left-wing. Another day I can be very right-wing. And people get mad at me at times. I can empathize with your point of view. If I think your point of view is going to lead us to a place of authoritarianism, though, I'm going to be like, no, sorry, that's not for me. We need to be charitable as a society. That's why I did believe in the $2,000 checks, because the government took people's rights away and they said you can't work anymore. I don't want to hear about public health. Okay. Isolate the vulnerable people. Let the other people earn a living. All right. And get some real stats out there that mean things. If you look at, just one parting thought, if you look at how many people died in the United States in 2020 compared to what it was in 2019, that's all I'm asking you to do. Just do that. And then notice that suicides doubled and drug overdoses doubled in 2020, and population increased in 2020. So those are some things to really think about. And you'll see that the numbers do not add up. And I'm just going to leave you right there. Thanks for watching.